Hi everyone, my name's Dave and I'm here back with another Canva tutorial. In our last video, we went over how to add elements into your design and we looked a little bit about the customization of it, but we'll go into that a little bit more today. So let's go and add some items into our design. So let's just put a square, a rectangle, there we go. There's also a shortcut for some of these things. So if you want to quickly add a square or a rectangle, if you hit R on your keyboard, one shows up. If you want to add a circle, you just hit C and a circle shows up. And if you want to add some text, add T and it adds a text box with some text in it. So those are some helpful shortcuts for you to know. So we have a couple of shapes here and we have some text. I've already told you how to resize your text or resize or move around your boxes. But there's lots of other things that you can do with your text. So let's and your shapes to customize them. So let's select our text and then we come up to the top here. So we've got, this is where our font is. And Canva will have a bunch of fonts programmed into it that you'll be able to use. Some of them are free, some of them are locked behind Pro. If you click this, it'll open up the font box and then you can search for specific fonts here, or you can start search for kind of different styles. You have some filters here as well. So you can choose, if there's a specific language, you can choose to also filter just free or just Pro. Let's close that. But then if you're not quite sure exactly what font you want, but you know what type of style you could do, you could have a look at some of these. So if you want a handwriting style, if you click this, then you will be able to see a bunch of handwriting styles. And then if you click on one of these, then your text automatically changes. And then if you have multiple versions of your text in here, it'll ask if you want to change all of these to the same. So let's just, let's do that. Let's just undo this and show you that. So let's just click this. I'm going to do Control C or Command C on a Mac and then Control V or Command V. And then we'll have two of the same text boxes. And let's just do that one more time. So I've got three text boxes, you'll be able to see it. So if I come up to here to this one text box, I go to this, because they're all the same font at the moment, and I go, let's do finger paint. It'll ask me if I want to change them all, and I can change them all. And it will work on multiple pages as well within this design. So that's how you change your font. But then you can come back. There are different types of fonts here. You've got corporate and display and stuff, headings, paragraphs, sans serif or serif, rounded, modern, bold. Got lots of different things. And then if you start scrolling down, there'll be maybe some recommended fonts based on what you've used. If you've used some recently, then these kind of the last like 5 or so get stored here so that you have ready access to them. And then if you have things like brand kit set up, then any fonts that are within your brand kit will also be here, or anything that you've uploaded separately. And then there are some popular ones as well. So you can, there's lots of things that you can do. Next is our font size, and you can use the pluses or minus, or if you click in, you can select a specific style. So this will be 12. It looks very small on this because it's a graphic, but there we go. Let's just make that larger. Then once you've clicked your text box and you just have it underlined or outlined, sorry, then this one here is the text color. So you can come up to the color here and you can, if you scroll down here, you've got some default solid colors. So you can just click one of these and then it will do the same thing. You will automatically change this, but if you want to change them all, you can do that and it changes them all. Or you can create your own color. So for this, I've got it selected. I come across, add a new color. And then if you know the exact hex code that you want, then you can tap that in, or you can start moving this slider along. So say you want something It's kind of like a dark cyan, and then you can pick up this and drag it around and kind of see where we're going. Maybe actually I want a purple, or maybe I want it exactly to match whatever it is that my shape is. So there's an easy way of doing that. Instead of trying to figure it out yourself by doing this, I know I'm roughly in the right area, but let's just change it over here. If I want exactly this color, I come across and use the eyedropper tool, and then it will zoom in and it will show me the individual pixels. And if I click that, it gives me that exact color. And then once I've done that, it then lists all of these colors in the design. You can also add, rather than a solid color, you can also add a gradiented color. So you can have multiple colors in the same thing, and you can choose how that gradient looks. So let me just make this a rectangle a little bit bigger, and I'll go back into color. I will go to add new color, and then across from here, from solid color, is gradient option. So if I can go to gradient, and then it changes to an automatic gradient based on the color that I started with. And if I want, you know, the lighter to be on this side, I'll just drag the lighter color and move it across here. And so I can change the direction of where these are, or the order of them. And then when I click into this color, it opens up again. So this is how I can change this color if I want. So I can add it maybe a little bit more of a bright one. And then I want it here maybe to be like kind of like a blue, like how that looks. There we go. So now I've got two, but then you can add more colors into it. So if I go to this plus button here and I hit plus, it will duplicate this next color and it will give me another one. So maybe I want to go back to, actually maybe let's go, so I'm here, let's gonna go here. No, let's go a little bit lighter. Something there. There. That looks all right. And so I can move that there. So now I've got this interesting gradient, but then if I don't like the green there and I wanted the green maybe in the middle, I can drag it across. That does not look good. Let's just move it there. There you go. So that looks better. But you can also play around with it. If you want more green on this side, or you want more of a color on one side, then you can just add another color and leave it there. If you want to bring some of the transparency down, you can also do that. You can also add specifically what color that you want in there. And if you don't like it, hover over it and an X appears on it. And then if you want a different type of gradient, you'll be able to see the styles underneath your gradient colors here. So this one is just left to right. This one is top to bottom. And you can, if you want it the other way up, just do that. And now it's the other way up. Next to it, you've got straight diagonal from left to right. If you want it going right to left, you might just have to do that and rotate it around. Let's change that back. And then if you come into your gradient here, so you'll see now that it's created a new color and it's created that gradient. So if I wanted to replicate that gradient, you'll see I just need to click there, and now this is the same gradient as that. But if I wanted to change the gradient on this again, if I didn't like it and I wanted to adjust it, I just go in and then hover over it, and it's got some little lines with sliders on. So I click that and it will give me the settings again. So then I can do, oh, that looks fancy, in the circular one. And then this is like a curved diagonal gradient. But I quite like the look of that. It looks quite funky. There we go. So that's how to add color to your things. Also with text, you can customize it in all of the same ways that you would want to. But this font doesn't allow me to do any bolding or anything like that. So let's just change it to a normal text, one that's a little bit less arty. And now I can start changing the weight of it, or maybe add some italics and underlines to it. Some fonts as well have a little arrow by them because they will have regular or different styles. already programmed into them. So one that's really good for this is Montserrat. This is one of our fonts in the Board of Education. It has a really thin weight. So I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but that's quite a thin weight of the same text. Or there's an extra light and a medium, semi-bold, bold, extra bold, and black. And then with all of these, you'll be able to do italics or underline. So you'll be able to see which one. So some of these have multiple different types of weights and are really customizable. So you might want to have a look at some of that. So let's get rid of it. Okay, that's how you change your kind of font weight and color. And then with the text, we've already gone over alignment. You can add bullet points, and remember this scales to your text box itself rather than the page. If you don't like them, click through, it adds numbers, and then click through again and it disappears. You can also do some advanced settings here, so you can add spacing to each individual character in your text box. So if I just come off of this, you'll be able to see that the text is much bigger, and then again that scales with your text box. Or I can do some spacing, so you see the line spacing here for the whole thing is a part like that. And then I can also choose where to anchor the text box from. So as you add more text, let's click in, there we go, add more text into the text box. You see it's anchored at the top and then just goes down. But if I were to anchor this text box here from the middle, let's just cut that and zoom out so we can see it a little bit better. Just move this down here. So my text is in the middle now. If I were to add a little bit more, I've anchored it in the middle and your text stays in the middle. It didn't anchor from the top, it anchored from the middle. And then if I wanted to anchor it from the bottom, this is what it would look like. I got that. My text box is all down here. If I added it in, placed it, the text box goes up to it, goes upwards. So you can anchor your text box in different ways. And then there are some more settings. There are text positions, so you can do like some subscripts or kerning and some ligatures. So some fonts have some more advanced settings that you can do. So that's how you can do some of that with text. With shapes, there are some more things that you can do. So if you wanted this box here, you can actually come up to color and you'll be able to see that you can add no color to this. So sometimes you can export. Sometimes you may want to export an image in a style called PNG, and you may want it like maybe if you're working with a logo that's kind of lined and outlined and you want blank space behind it, you can actually create an image that has blank space in it. So I've basically turned this invisible now, but with it selected, I know it's still there. If it's selected, I can also add strokes or like a border on the outside. So I can have just an outline of a shape here, and then with the stroke, same with the lines, I can choose whether or not how thick it is. I can choose dots or dashes, and then I can add corner around it. It won't work on this, but let's do the square. So let's add a border to the square and make it up, and then you'll see here with the square selected, this is the color of my shape, but also it gives me an option to change the stroke color. So if I want to change the stroke color itself, I could add my little gradient, or I can add just purple, or I'll keep it black. And then I can affect different things here. So I can do all of these things again. but I can also now add some corners, and I can choose how many sides of the shape that I want to have cornered rounding, and then I can add corner rounding, and as soon as I move this slider up, it rounds the corners. So that's how you get the kind of rounded rectangle. But then if I just wanted, I can change the actual shape itself. So the sides gives me access to change the actual shape too. And then I also have a transparency option, so I can bring the transparency of stuff down. Say I don't want this anymore, let's get rid of the stroke, and do that by getting rid of all the stroke weight, and it's not there anymore. Let's go back to this and add that, and now I can add some transparency and have the image bleed through onto the other one. So that's some of the ways you can adjust and customize some of your elements with color and shape and style. But with text, there are some other things, some quite cool things that you can do with your text. Let's change this to a bit of a thicker text. Thicker weight. Let's go bold. And we'll go here. So if I go to effects with this, I can add some different types of effects on my actual text itself. So I'll zoom in so you can see a little bit clearer. So I've got drop shadow, and if I add this, I can now see a little bit of a shadow around my text, and I can change the direction of where it goes, or I can change the offset, how far away it is from the character. So if I just do that, you'll be able to see it a bit clearer now. I can also add blur onto it. So if I didn't want it to if I didn't want it sharp, I could have it kind of blurred. And then I can also change the color of it. So if I wanted but that looks weird. So I can add drop shadow to this. I can also add something called glow. It's better when there's a dark background underneath. So let's just select our back. Let's just do black. And now let's go back to our text, effects, and glow. And to be able to see, hang on, no, it's neon, isn't it? This is what works. So neon is this kind of effect here, and it adds kind of like a lighting effect. Something with glow, let's just change this back to white. It adds like a really faint kind of shadow, so it's like the really blurred version. It just kind of adds some lift to it. So let's select this, go back to glow, and you'll see how intense it is or not. Which sometimes it's helpful just to add a little bit of glow just to lift your text off of the page, especially if you've got a very busy image on the background. You've also got some other things like echo. This is like multiple drop shadows that you can move. And then there are lots of different ones here. There's hollowing out and some neon that I showed you. And then you also curve your text around a circle. And then there are also some advanced things that have got specific font sets and effects that move with them. So that is how you add some extra customization onto text. And that is basically it for this video. That's how you customize stuff, add colors and depth and more kind of feel, and changing your fonts and adding strokes and lines and borders and shadows. So that is basically what you do. You have less customization options with images and videos because they are set things, but some of the graphics and shapes, you can do that. And actually, if you go into elements and you pick some graphics, some of them are saved as vectors. So say I like the color of this car here. Let's just add a page and drag that down so we can see it a little bit more clearly. Let's just zoom in a little bit to this car so we can see it. So you'll see that this car is red, and it also has some kind of bluey windows. But if I don't like the red, but I like the drawing style, I can just come into the color and go, actually, I would like a purple car. And it changes the car to purple. And actually, let's do some tinted windows. So let's change them to like black or grey, and it gives me some customization of some of the graphics that are here. So that's some of the ways that you can customize some of these other elements as well. Great. Have a little play around, see what you think, see what options there are for text, and see what you can make. And then when you're ready to come on to the next video, we'll look at how to start layering stuff on top of each other and build some really nice looking designs.